Alright, let's do building chords. Theory part 1. It's important to realize that music is math. And what that means is the distance between notes is what really builds and makes everything. The distance between any two adjacent notes is called a half step. So the distance between C and C sharp, that's a half step. Distance between C sharp and D, that's another half step. And so between an octave, which is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, there are 12 half steps. There's 7 white notes and there's 5 black notes. The white notes are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then back to 1 or 8. A C chord looks like this. And there's a white note in between each, is every other white note. Now the distance between the first and the third are 4 half steps. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Distance between the third and the fifth is 3 half steps. It's 1, 2, 3. And that is a major chord. That's the definition of major chord, is 4 half steps and then 3 half steps. So it's the same thing for any major chord. If you want to play C sharp major chord, that's 4 and 3. You want to play D chord, D major chord, and then E flat and E and F. Anyways, it's the same distance. It's 4 and then 3. And then there's the minor chords. This is back to C. The minor chords, the middle note, the third, is flatted, which means it goes down a half step. So instead of playing E here, you play E flat. Now look at the distance here. Between the first and the flatted third, that's 3 half steps, and the distance between the third and the fifth is 4 half steps. So instead of being 4 and 3, like in a major chord, it's 3 and 4, which is in a minor chord. Okay, and that goes for all chords, whether it's an E flat would be, that's an E flat major, but if you bring this G down to a G flat, that's an E flat minor. So you bring the third down a half step to make a major and a minor, into a minor. The chords in the scales go by numbers. So the C chord is a 1, the D chord is a 2. Now the D chord is a minor because it's 3 and 4. The E chord is a minor because it's 3 and 4. The F is a major, the G is a major, the A is a minor. So these first 6 chords, you've got major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. So in the first 6 chords, you got 3 majors, 1, 4, and 5, and you got 3 minors, 2, 3, and 6. Now this last chord, 7, is called a diminished chord because it's 3 and 3. It's a jazz chord, and we'll talk about it later. It's a whole nother lesson. You don't use it a whole lot anyways. You'll barely see it in many songs you play. Now, with these chords, there are what's called sevenths. And sevenths are very important chords. You'll see those in a lot of music. And what that is a seventh is 2 notes below the root. The root is the name of the chord. So like in the C chord, the root is C. 2 half steps below that would be a B flat. You go 1, 2. So if you add this B flat to a C chord, that is a C seventh. You can also, instead of putting the B flat here, you can put it up here, and that's also a C seventh. Okay? Remember, this is a C chord. If you move this middle note down, that's a minor. And it's the same thing with a C minor seventh. You would just add this B flat to that, and you'd have C minor seventh. And that goes with all the other chords. If you're playing an F, that's an F minor, that's an F. If you want to add the 7th, it's 2 down from the F, which is an E flat, and that's an F7. Nice thing about F7s is they're good in rolls, which means going up and down the piano playing the chord. So a C7th chord looks like this going up and down. Okay, so just learn your majors, your minors, your major sevenths, and your minor sevenths, and you'll get very, very far. Now, and also remember that it's major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, then diminished, and back to major. And this works in any key you're playing. If you're in the key of G, it's major, then it's A minor, it's B minor, it's C major, it's D major. Remember this F sharp's in here. E minor, and then it's F sharp diminished, and back to G. And once again, don't worry about the diminished. So far, all the chords I've been showing you have been in the first position, which means the name of the chord has been down at the bottom bass note. That is the root, like in the chord of C, the C major chord, the C is the bottom note. You can also move this C up here, and you still have your three notes. You got your C, your E, and your G, but now you're starting with the 3 in the bass position. So this is called a C major chord in the 3rd position. You can take this E and move it up here. You've still got your C, your E, and your G, but now you've got the G in the bass position. These are all the C chords, you're just playing them in different positions. If you move your G up here, you got back to where you started from. And then you can bounce around with that too. It's C, oh sorry, C, C, C. Those are all C's, they're just played in different positions. And if you can do it with C, you can do it with C minor. And if you can do it with any of that chord, you can do it with any chord. You can do it with F. So learn to play all your chords in all these different positions. Because the nice thing about that is if you're playing, let's say a 1-4-5, you don't have to move all over the place, like Louie Louie. Instead of the old way, we would have had to go like this. So you can keep it in the same position where we're C and F and G without having to go move all around. Okay, those positions are important. Now it's also important to know that you can do redundant positions, which means you can repeat notes. Say that's a C chord, you can also add another C up here and make that all one big giant majestic chord. Or you can move this move it up and make E as the top and the bottom chord, or make G is the top and the bottom chord. So it's just 4 note chords. You're playing 2 of either the 5th or the 3rd of the note. And if you can do that with majors, you can do the same thing with minors. And they can move them all around. And if you can do that with majors and minors, you can do it with 7ths. So here's a C 7th, and I'm going to move it up and down the scale. Now, another important thing to remember is you don't have to play all the notes of the chord to get what you're looking for, especially in these 4 note chords, like a C7. If you want to leave this C out, you've still got a nice chord here, especially if you're playing C in the bass. And then F7. See, I'm not playing all 4 of them, you can just play 3 of them. And if you don't want to play these 3, you can play those 3 and leave the A out. Okay, so partial chords are very important too. Is you can play, instead of playing the whole C chord, you can just play those 2 notes if you're playing here. Or just play those 2 notes, or just play this, like we showed 3rd and 5ths. You can skip all around and play any 2 notes. And everything I'm showing you in C is also in the minors of all the different notes and chords, and the 7ths and everything too. Alright, here's the last part. Every now and then you'll see some goofy jazz chords like C 9th and C 13th and C 4th and C 7th, and we talked about the 7th, C major 7th. Anyways, I'm going to show you what all those are without having to be scared of them, and you'll be able to figure out almost all of them. The first one, here's a C chord, is a C second. And all you do is you play the 2nd note, which is in the C chord, it's a D. So, that's a C second. Now, if you play this D way up here, then it's called a C 9th because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9 notes up from the C, from the root. So, that's a C 9th, which is just like a C 7th, except instead of playing the D down here, you're playing the D up here. Now, just like before, you don't have to play all the notes. If I'm playing this with a C bass, I can leave the G out and just smash on all three of these notes at once. And see, that's called a C second. Okay, and then a third, I think I showed another lesson, but the third is just hitting these two notes. It's the first and the third. And then a C fifth is just hitting the first and the fifth note and leaving the third and everything else out. So you got your C second, your C third, and your C fifth. Now you got your C fourth, and this is used in tons of songs. You'll see this more than just about anything, except for sevenths. And what that is you hit the fourth note here. You can use it with the E or with the G, or you can leave either one of those out. And this is like every Tom Petty song or every Who song, or it's... And that's a G. So it's C, C fourth. But that's the fourth. Alright, we did the fifth already, and obviously the C6 is going to be, add this note to it. So that's a C6, or you can put the A down here. But as long as you're playing with an A bass, you got your C6. Now if you play a C chord with this B, that's called a C major seventh. This is a C seventh when you play the B flat. This is a C major seventh when you play here. That's, or you can play the B down here. And you don't have to play all the notes. See, I'm skipping the C here. And that's a C major seventh. Okay, so far we have used every note in the scale except we haven't used this one, we haven't used this one, and we haven't used this one. So we've used every note in the scale to make a C chord. This one is called a C augmented fifth. So instead of playing this G, you go up to the next. But that's a very rare jazz chord. I couldn't tell you. It's probably got a name, but I couldn't tell you what it is. And I've used this a bunch, but I don't know what the name of that one is either. But anyways, that's every C chord that's used with an augmented. Now, just like I did all these with major chords, you can do the same thing with minor chords. This is a C minor. That's a C minor second. That's a C minor third. That's a C minor fourth. Well, there is no C minor fifth because you're not hitting the third part of that. It would be a C minor fifth. That would be a C minor sixth. And we already know the C minor seventh. I usually don't play a C minor major seventh, but I guess you could. And then you're back to your C. Alright, so that's how you build all the jazz chords, which you don't use a whole lot of. Really, you may need to use 1s, 4s, and 5s, and then you add these 2s, 3s, and 6s in there. And pretty much every song you'll ever want to learn will just have those 6 chords in there, with the majors and the minors and the sevenths. Have fun, take a deep breath. This takes a while to learn, but go over this over and over again till you get it.